Hey everybody, welcome to episode 186 of Is This Thing Working? Good morning, Denise. How you doing?
Oh, I am doing awesome today. So glad to be here on this hump day on Wednesday. And guess what, everybody? 1 year ago today, we started the podcast, Is This Thing Working? And we have expanded it dramatically. So from now on, you'll see season 2 for year 2. I'm so excited to put that there. And I want to thank everybody out there for helping us and supporting us and listening every day and just making our day great. We have a great day every time we sit here and talk to you.
Yes, we do. And we've got a few words for you to listen to from one of our fearless leaders, Steve Bannon, who has been held as a political prisoner. We're on day 43 now of this. And if there's been anything that's been a travesty that you've witnessed or heard of or read about in the news, them jailing Steve Bannon is the biggest travesty that I've seen.
And
it's
a big deal. It's a really big deal that he's in prison right now, right before the election, when he has been working extremely hard
for years
trying to get the posse and everyone to become informed and be engaged. And this is, listen to what he has to say.
Yep.
That long road to victory.
What can everyday regular citizens do to be more like Breitbart?
An informed citizenry is an empowered citizenry. That's why people got to go to things like Politichicks. That's why they have to go to the BreitbartNews.com websites. That's why you have to go to Drudge and they have to go to Daily Caller. Just get more information. Remember, the more you understand, the stronger you become. The mainstream media and the progressive left always wants to obfuscate the facts. America has a great sense of common sense. Right? The American people are very practical, very pragmatic, have a lot of common sense. Once they understand the facts, they'll make the right decision. We've always made the right decision throughout our history, and that's why the mainstream media does so much to obfuscate the facts. So I think just learn more. Go to Politichicks, go to Breitbart, go to all these different sites and just gather more information. Don't let people tell you what to think. Don't even let the pundits on Fox tell you what to think. Make up your own mind. Get more information. Get engaged. Get involved, and you'll see what's empowered all these people to come out to the Tea Party rallies. So I think it's just learn more and then act on what you know.
Couldn't agree more. And what do we tell you each and every day on our show? One of our biggest mottos is be informed and become engaged. Just like he said, the more informed you are, the more empowered you are. The more you understand, the stronger you become. Man,
and it's all common sense.
It is.
We're common sense
every bit
people.
Of it, man.
This extremist that the left like to call us, that's obfuscating exactly what Steve Bannon was saying. They're trying to tell you that we're extreme. And this, when he gave this speech or when he was talking to this reporter, this was in 2012 at a Tea Party rally.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is how long that this has been going on, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And folks, we need you. We need you to vote. Hey, I get it.
Yeah.
I get every single election cycle is crazy. And I get that we are having issues at the ballot boxes.
Yes.
I do. And we all do. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the mainstream media and how, they're going to turn everything around on you, and you don't know who to believe or what to believe. But you need to do your research. And we're going to talk about things that are happening in Texas today and how they're trying to keep our elections secure. So with that, let's pay a little bills.
We would like to welcome our new sponsor to Is This Thing Working? So help us welcome Cornbread Hemp. Their mission is to draw on Kentucky's 250-year legacy of growing hemp, as well as the state's unique climate and soil, to manufacture the highest quality cannabis products available in America. They proudly offer full-spectrum, USDA organic CBD products with up to 2 milligrams of THC per serving. Their plants are grown in what's known as the Bluegrass Basin, which produces the highest quality hemp alongside the best bourbon and fastest racehorses. Cornbread Hemp is one of the very few, if not only, CBD brands in America who exclusively use the hemp flower to create their CBD extract, called Flower Only CBD, and they want the world to know.
Please check out Cornbread Hemp by going to cornbreadhemp.com right now for a 30% off your initial purchase of any products on the website. Again, go to cornbreadhemp.com and use promo code ITTW for this special offer. Remember, you get 30% off, promo code ITTW. And welcome to the show. We want to state these are our opinions and our assertions. And if you agree with us, tell your friends and share the show.
And as always, if you don't agree with us, tell your friends and share our show.
And make sure you stomp that like button and follow everywhere you see the name Is This Thing Working? And our podcast is available for download, as always, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcast.
Also, download the Rumble app so you can follow the show and you'll receive instant notifications when we go live every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Let's get moving.
You know, we were already talking about Steve Bannon, and like we said, he's been unjustly held in federal prison for 42 days since July 1st, 2024. We had mentioned on the show that he might get out early, and that is not the case. I found out today. That's just a rumor going on. He will not get out until the end of October unless we do something about it.
Exactly.
And Grace Chong has come out with the call to action. We've done this call to action several times already, and we really need you to call your congressman.
Exactly.
Really.
Call your congressman, call your representative, call your senators. Call them and tell them you need to vote to condemn the January 6th committee as being illegitimate. They were illegitimate. They serve no true purpose. They have no true authority, man. Call, tell them, talk to your senators. Put the heat on them about this, man, because this is wrong. And as President Trump says, it's true. If they'll do it to him, they'll do it to you. They've done it to Peter Navarro. They've done it to Steve.
And we've been talking about what they're doing to the January 6th, people,
the prisoners
and the prisoners there,
yes.
The political prisoners.
Every bit of this, man.
They'll continue to do it because they don't want you involved. They don't want your voice out there to tell them, hey, you're wrong. What you're doing is wrong, and it's against the Constitution.
Yep.
They don't want that.
I get it. And, hey, I will say this. The voters that came out yesterday and stepped up for Mr. Royce White in Minnesota, thank you. That's
100%
a big win. That's
big
a big
posse win right
man,
there.
I'm telling you, I'm excited to see a guy like Royce White be in there and have a voice now, man. Because like we said, common sense, practicality, that's Royce White, man.
That is.
Yeah.
That is, and we're very excited. And then we could go into the Ilhan Omar race, but we all know that something weird happened there. And, some people are saying Republicans just didn't show up to vote for her. Well, why would they really?
Well, yeah, and she did win by 15,000. And I've seen somebody say, well, that's 15,000 Republicans that didn't get out. Well, if you think about this, man, we've had this issue for quite a while. Me and you talked about this even back in January and February when you had Texas primaries going on, when you had other state primaries going on, and we talked about the low voter turnout. And it's important, though. It's very important that we do get that voter turnout up in the primaries, man. Primaries are important. Down ballots are important.
They really are.
Because if not, the things like the J6 committee happen again.
And what I don't understand is why did not they do this before they went on recess? Before they went to have their summer vacation or whatever it is. Why is it we're sitting here saying, hey, do something, and you're not even there in Washington, D.C.?
Nope.
I find it very, very troubling, and I'm very disappointed. They're out there trying to be reelected, or elected,
yes.
in a primary, and they don't want to do what the people ask them to do. Bannon, who is currently serving a prison sentence, he was convicted for defying a subpoena related to the January 6th investigation. His imprisonment serves as a prime example of the severe consequences faced by those who challenge the political establishment. Now, yesterday on WarRoom, Harnwell and Mike Davis were talking about the contrast between the lowest learner who oversaw the IRS's scrutiny of conservative groups.
Yes.
And then Bannon, who were both subpoenaed to talk before Congress.
Yes.
And what happened to Lois Lerner?
Nothing.
Nothing happened to Lois Lerner.
Nothing. And the thing about her is, if you remember, we're getting this from a WarRoom.org article, and it said that in contrast, Lerner, who oversaw the scrutiny of those groups, she faced no repercussions whatsoever. When Congress subpoenaed her to testify, she invoked the Fifth and gave a prepared statement but did not answer questions directly. Her testimony was seen by many as a calculated attempt to do what? Evade accountability. Yet she faced no criminal charges or substantive penalties for her actions. Ben Hardwell and Mike Davis both criticized the lack of accountability for Lois Lerner, asserting that the Obama administration's DOJ failed to act decisively. This, they argue, underscores the broader pattern of selective justice. According to Mike, the inaction by the DOJ under Obama is emblematic of a political bias that shielded certain individuals from consequences while aggressively pursuing others. The two-tiered justice system, what we continue to talk about. Davis said, in quotes, Obama was the OG for this weaponization of our law enforcement, and it has been on steroids under the Biden administration.
100%. It has, and everyone has seen it.
The two-tiered system.
This isn't something new. So Republicans, they're like, hey, they're coming after us. Oh, we got to stay over here and be quiet, not vote, not use our voice to get out there and everything. No, this is the very reason you need to show up.
And in my opinion, too, just like you talked about, the House representatives are gone. They're out at home campaigning their state. And you've got the Senate doing the same. Look, here's the way I see this. If the citizens elected you 2 years ago to be a representative, that they elected you during the last senator election cycle, then right now, if you are elected, your ass needs to be in Washington, D.C. Those that are running against you in this upcoming election, let them stay out there and campaign. Your campaign should be your accomplishments that you've done while you've served.
And that should be how you get reelected.
Amen. I'm sick of this
because
shit,
we're
man.
already hearing that Speaker Johnson is talking to moderate Republicans. I'm so sick of hearing moderate Republicans till I'm about to puke.
You know what moderate Republican is?
A Democrat light.
An undocumented Democrat.
That is exactly right.
Yep.
And there isn't no moderate Republicans anymore. They're Democrats. No, I know we talk about getting the moderates, and yes, we need moderates. But folks, common sense. Even moderates have common sense. And if there are moderates in our Congress that are going to vote for bills that are going to raise inflation, more money spent, more money for weaponization of government, then that is not for you. That's not for you.
Well, it's not for any of us.
So why are we voting them back in? This is where I'm having an issue.
Mm-hmm.
We're out there voting for these people that are doing nothing for us in Congress.
Exactly.
But still, vote. And it's taken us how many cycles to get MAGA people in there so they're common sense people.
Yep.
How many cycles now? 6?
Easy.
Easy.
I
mean, there comes a time when you just have to say, stop. Let's all
get it, man.
just, stop and use our common sense and know that America does not need another penny spent. Not another one. No, as a matter of fact, you need to take away some stuff. You need to balance the budget.
Let's keep the show rolling then. Let's move on to the next thing. Boy, we ran it there, didn't we? But
I'm so tired of them, man.
Me too. And then after the way
maybe today by Wednesday and watching everything that's been going on in the false news after President Trump's thing that
his interview
with Musk, and then CNN's Dana Bash blatantly lied about Trump and Musk's conversation last night on Monday night. She falsely claimed that Musk and Trump said that it was okay to drop nuclear weapons on Japan in World War II. Millions of people listened to this. I mean, I guess CNN does not think that their people listen to other people as well. Everyone caught her on it. They caught her on this lie, listened to what she had to say.
I want to play one exchange that was kind of classic. Well, there were a lot of exchanges that were classic Donald Trump, but this one really stuck out to us.
And Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So
Right,
it's
right,
really
right.
not
That's
something that, you know,
That's right.
so it's not as scary as people think, basically.
So that was more Elon Musk than Donald Trump talking about, sort of suggesting that what happened almost 80 years ago, I think 80 years ago next year, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, now it's okay. Kind of trying to blow off the impact of that.
Yeah, and that is not what they said at all.
That was 100% completely false.
They were talking about using nuclear power to generate electricity and how even that there's been accidents, it's eventually safe to move back to those areas that it was evidenced by how Hiroshima and Nagasaki are both thriving cities now.
Yeah, and it says also historians and military officials have said that far more people would have died in the U.S. if they did not drop the atomic bombs on Japan, because the U.S. would have had to invade Japan, and more American soldiers and Japanese would have died as a result. But the whole thing is they took everything out of context.
Yes, they
Listen
did.
to the real conversation.
Fantastic. But to me, the biggest problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's, a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of nuclear is so great. And when I talk about I'll prevent World War III, I will. But the truth is that you have to, because this is no longer army tanks going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and actually, there's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is underrated.
You're right.
And it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding. And if you look at the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining operation. And there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done.
Right there.
100%.
Right there. And that's what they're talking about, is nuclear energy.
For climate change. Which is what everyone has been talking about, and what Elon Musk is very much for. He knows, he makes EV cars, guys. So everyone knows that he's on the climate change thing, and he's a smart man. So I will listen to him over climate change before I listen to anybody else in the mainstream media, because he has really researched this and he knows what's going on. If you listen to the conversation, he says it's not going at the rate that they're telling you, but it is happening, and we all know it is happening, but not at the rate that they're telling you. The falsehoods all the way around is just out of control. And then Kamala Harris's campaign, their team is now editing new headlines in her favor without the outlet's knowledge. What is she saying? She's saying stuff like, it's a sponsored ad above a headline of, let's say, for example, The Guardian, which is what they used on Fox News this morning, but it's all over the place. And she changes the headline for her favor. So this is the kind of news that you're going to be seeing. Everything's going to be sponsored by the Harris campaign, and it's mainly just so you can see her name out there and the falsehoods about her, period. Because everything about Kamala Harris's campaign is false. It's fake. It's AI. It's anything but truthful to you. And be honest with you, folks, it is nothing about you. It's everything that Biden administration has done and will continue to do under her regime.
But it's not all bad news. We got some good news yesterday, too. The Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals Judge James C. Ho, he ruled that geofence warrants violate the Fourth Amendment. Julie Kelly reported on this. She said, if you recall, the FBI sought and received a Google geofence warrant on January 6, 2021. This is the statement by Judge Ho. He says, geofence warrants are powerful tools for investigating and deterring crime. The defendants here engaged in a violent robbery and likely would have gotten away with it but for this new technology. So I fully recognize that our panel decision today will inevitably hamper legitimate law enforcement interests. Couldn't agree more.
100%.
Couldn't agree more. But here is the main point. He said, but hamstringing the government is the whole point of our Constitution. Our founders recognized that the government will not always be compromised of publicly spirited officers, and that even good faith actors can be overcome by the zealous pursuit of legitimate public interest. If men were angels, no government would be necessary. And it said, if angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. But experience has taught mankind the necessity of auxiliary precautions. It's because of human nature that it's necessary to control the abuses of government. And
This is a great decision. It's one that changes
everything.
And it's time for judges to really stand up and really read the Constitution again. I mean, because it needed to be done a long time ago.
Yes, it did. And I love that sentence that he said, but hamstringing the government is the whole point of our Constitution. Amen to that, because our Constitution was founded on the abuse of power by a tyrannical government. Our whole country was founded on that, and our Constitution is set up to protect who from the government? Not the government from the government. It's set up to protect me from the government, you from the government, from the overreaching subjugation of that government. If you're searching for the perfect coffee to kickstart your day, look no further than Coffee Brothers. Ethically sourced and expertly roasted, each batch of Coffee Brothers beans is a celebration of flavor. Whether you crave a bold dark roast or a smooth balanced light roast, they've got you covered. Experience the difference in every sip with notes of chocolate, berries, and citrus that make every cup unique. Plus, with their commitment to sustainability, you can feel good about the coffee you're drinking. Visit coffeebrothers.com and elevate your coffee game today.
Awesome. Please click that link below. We love us some Coffee Bros. I got some right here in my cup. It's really good. I love Coffee Bros. Yeah, it keeps me going every morning. Man, let me tell you, Texas, they have a lot going on. We haven't been able to cover Texas very much lately, but man, our Texas Attorney General and many other people are stepping up. And guess what? A Democrat election worker in Harris County, Texas, was charged with 6 felonies for his role in rigging the 2022 election after probe finds insufficient paper ballots in Republican precincts. I remember this happening in 2022 and how the Harris County kept saying, oh, it's the best election ever, like they always do, like they did in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, it's the greatest election ever.
Democrat District Attorney Kim Ogg on Tuesday announced tampering and theft charges against election worker Daryl Blackburn after there was a paper ballot shortage at 119 polling locations across Harris County. The investigation found there was insufficient paper ballots in many Republican precincts.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott in November 2022 called for an investigation into widespread problems with Harris County elections. You know, they have also been audited. And they have been, you know, like we have this thing in Texas now where you audit the big cities and it's done by draw, like random. It's a random draw. And Harris County has been randomly drawn twice and they're like ticked off. But they're getting caught.
Yeah.
You know, and this is what we need. We need people to know that Harris County, we do have problems in Texas's election in the big cities. We do. And whether or not you can sit there and say, you know, well, Texas, you know, they take your driver's license, they take your ID, and they, you know, they don't register illegals and everything. But they are doing the exact same thing because the federal government is handling all of that. And so it's happening here in Texas.
Right.
So anyway.
One of the things to point out with that, and you say that how the federal government's involved, or that we've got this issue, because we do, with election integrity.
Mm-hmm.
This, by the great Jim Hoff at the Gateway Pundit, this is an article we've seen this morning, and it said that the nation's top hackers at DEF CON conference once again easily breach U.S. voting machines. Yet what? Republicans continue to ignore this crisis year after year.
Yeah, we say it over and over. I mean, it has been out there. We have been talking about this for years, and they still, just like we're saying, we still vote them in, and they still do nothing. They do absolutely nothing. And obviously, their votes are good. We don't even know if theirs are anymore.
No.
We have no confidence in our elections. But
that's me. I question both sides' results a lot of times. I
yes,
do.
I do too. I wondered how Tony Gonzalez won.
Exactly.
I wondered how Dave Phelan won.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder these things all the time. But over the weekend, some of the world's top hackers convened in Las Vegas for the annual DEF CON conference, specifically at the Voting Village event, to probe and expose vulnerabilities in voting machines set to be used in the upcoming November election. So these hackers at the Voting Village tested various voting machines and related equipment, attempting to bypass security measures. And meanwhile, election officials discussed misinformation and disinformation threats. The findings from this year's event will be detailed in a forthcoming report by the organizers. But this is just basic stuff that should be happening and it's not happening. So yes, I'm worried about things that are not being fixed. Aren't you worried about things that are not being fixed?
That's why I went on my little rant at the start about the fact that our Congress is sitting at home right now, and they've done absolutely nothing in the past 4 years to fix anything that they could. And it seems to be that one of the biggest and busiest people to help fight voter fraud and to restore election integrity is Ken Paxton.
Yes. And our Texas Secretary of State, Jay Nelson, she came out with a statement yesterday to remind Texas of measures the state takes to stop non-citizens from voting. So let's hear what she has to say, because, I still don't have any confidence in that. But, hey, she come out and she says, hey, you should. The state of Texas uses safeguards and checks against non-citizen voting, which is illegal under state law. Well, it's illegal under federal law as well. State and federal law prohibit non-citizens from registering and voting in any Texas election. When registering to vote, Texans must attest to being a U.S. citizen. Providing false information on a voter registration form subjects applicants to criminal penalties, including jail time and a fine. It is a second-degree felony for a non-citizen to vote in Texas under House Bill 1243, which Governor Greg Abbott signed into law last year. So does it say on there when you're registering to vote if you're a U.S. citizen?
But my point is, do they ask for proof?
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it is on the federal one. There is nowhere where you write that, because honestly, folks, only citizens should be registered to vote. If you're given a register to vote form, then you should be an American citizen.
Well, and it says that in 2021, Abbott signed into law Senate Bill 1, SB 1, which created additional election integrity measures, including ongoing citizenships of Texas voter rolls and ID requirement for what? For mail-in ballots. The law also increased penalties for false statements on a voter registration application.
What is that going to do after they've already cheated?
Exactly.
Because for some reason you can't go back and, audit and then anyone else win, hardly. I mean, we did have someone do that here in Texas. I will give them credit for that. They did, allow that governor or that mayor who ended up winning here in Texas after going through an audit. But our Ken Paxton, he has been busy. He's the greatest attorney general in America. Well, we have two of them. Andrew Bailey is one also.
Right.
So we'll give him hat tip also. But breaking news, Attorney General Ken Paxton is suing General Motors for unlawfully collecting drivers' private data and selling it to several companies, including insurance companies.
Yeah, he goes on to say that our investigation revealed General Motors has engaged in egregious business practices that violated Texas privacy and broke the law. We will hold them accountable. Companies are using invasive technology to violate the rights of our citizens in unthinkable ways. Millions of American drivers wanted to buy a car, not a comprehensive surveillance system that unlawfully records information about every drive they take and sells their data to any company willing to pay for it.
Yeah, I was blown away by that.
And that's what I hope everybody understands. A lot of times when you go to get your car insurance and they offer you those drive safe programs and this kind of thing, and that's what they're wanting to do is GPS your every movement and judge your every hard brake, your every acceleration, your all of this
the
stuff.
Distances you drive, the miles you drive.
The miles you drive.
The less miles you drive, the less your insurance will be.
Right.
They try to get you on everything. And then we had another breaking news this morning. Attorney General Ken Paxton also says, I have sent a notice letter to the city of Dallas directing it to withdraw the statement made by the State Fair of Texas. The organization contracted to run Fair Park during the annual event that prohibits citizens from lawfully carrying a firearm on the premise. Texas law clearly states that license to carry holders may not be prevented from carrying a firearm on property owned or leased by the government unless otherwise prevented by state statute.
Yep. He says the State Fair of Texas' recent policy that infringes on license to carry holders' Second Amendment rights is unlawful. Dallas has 15 days to fix this issue. Otherwise, I will see them in court.
Always. They're always trying to take away your rights, folks. 100%. Always trying to take away your rights.
Go, Ken, go.
Go, Ken Paxton. We love it. Before we end the show today, we have to go down to the border. The border is a crisis. It's an ongoing crisis. Todd Bensman was on the War Room yesterday talking to Harnwell, and his latest report for the War Room from Panama's Darien Gap exposes a critical failure in U.S. immigration strategy. The Darien Gap, which we've talked about many times, folks, is a treacherous route that's connected Colombia and Panama. It serves as a crucial choke point through which over 1.5 million migrants from diverse regions, including Muslim-majority countries and Africa, traverse en route who come in from the U.S. border.
Yeah. Bensman talks about this strategic importance of this region, and we've talked about this too. It's a bottleneck migration route where they all come into here, they all gang up, and then they all must pass through here. And we've talked about how HIAS, the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society, is down there, and they were down there registering voters. We talked about Resource Center Matamoros and how they're down there doing the same thing. The 60,000 Chinese nationals that came through there. And he goes on to say in this article that amid this crisis, Panama's new president, Raul Molino, has pledged to close the Darien Gap and implement a policy of deportation rather than catch and release. I love that idea.
I love that idea, too.
I mean, that's exactly what we need to do right here.
Yes. And Bensman criticizes the U.S. response to this opportunity. He says, where are the Americans? They're gone. You promised us aid and assistance, and there's nothing going on with that. Molino's frustration underscores the critical lapse in U.S. follow-through on promises to support, jeopardizing a golden opportunity to enhance border security. So, folks, when we're talking about Kamala Harris is going to come out and tell you she's going to secure the border, that is false, 100%. She wants an open border. She wants everybody from all these countries that are failing to just come over here. Just come over here and be. Y'all see what's going on in Europe right now with all of the riots and
it's all caused by immigration.
It's all caused by immigration.
Yeah.
And they want to get rid of us. They want to take over, and they are taking over, and you're letting them take over by voting for Democrats.
Is this thing working?
Rise up.
Well, hey, everybody, that's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. Hope you've learned some things about what's going on around us in the nation and in your communities. You know, we couldn't do this without your continued support either. We appreciate all of you showing up, taking the time to listen to us today. So please, like I say, make sure to hit the like button, share our show with all your friends. We'll see you next time on Is This Thing Working? And as always, I'm James. And that's my lovely co-host over there.
Denise.
And we'll see you next time.
We're out.